And you're going to screen share, Dr. West?
Yes.
Okay. And hopefully Harold makes it on the call. Thank you all for coming. We'll give it a few seconds before we officially get started as everyone starts to filter in here. So I hope everyone's having a great Thursday.
Yes, it finally feels like spring here.
That it does. That it does. Okay. Looks like we got everybody in. So hello, welcome to today's Digital Department Update with Department Head Dr. Mike West. My name is Sarah Von Eye, and I'm the Interim Alumni Director here at CARA. And just some housekeeping things before we get started. Just so everyone knows, this event is being recorded and we will upload it to our YouTube channel so you guys can, if you need to view it again. If you can, there's a chat function there. Just make sure you switch it to all attendees instead of just panelists. If you can or would like to, can you say or type in your name, class, and major, and just so everyone knows who's here, because some people are curious what alumni and friends are joining. So without further ado, please welcome Dr. West.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Sarah, and thank you everyone for attending. Really great to talk to you and give you an update. Let me share my screen here. You'd think I'd be better at this since I've been doing it every day for the past semester here for classes. All right. Okay, hopefully you all can see my slides okay. So I created kind of a presentation as a basis for discussion, and we have an hour scheduled here. I think we'll have time for kind of a Q&A session at the end if anyone has any specific questions. So thanks again. As Sarah said, I'm Michael West. I'm the department head of Materials and Metallurgical Engineering. And I will introduce myself maybe a little more thoroughly here in a second. But this is kind of an outline that I wanted to follow today and just give you an update on departmental personnel and faculty updates. I'll give you a little update on the curriculum and laboratory improvement. And then some of the things that we're doing outside of the classroom that are the technical related activities. And then I do want to spend a lot of time highlighting some of the students and their successes and what the students are up to. And a little bit about what we're doing with community engagement and some of the research highlights from faculty. And then also just highlight some of the alumni, recent alumni involvement and help for the department. So I thought I'd go through and introduce all the faculty. And so I'm Michael West, and I've been here since 2006. I think I may be the only, one of the only teaching faculty that is not a School of Mines alum. But I love it here. I've had a chance to talk to many of you on the call here today. But those of you that I haven't met, I just am so glad that I landed here. I really love working with the students, and you can see some of the classes that I teach there. especially those classes related to heat treating and thermomechanical processing and welding. I advise the American Welding Society chapter, and I'm also involved with the Material Advantage chapter here. And then for the other faculty here, I'm just going to go in alphabetical order. And our newest faculty member is Dr. Brett Carlson. He is a School of Mines alum, 2013. And he went to get his PhD at the Colorado School of Mines, focusing on high temperature pyrometallurgy and recycling. And he's done some work in industry at Gopher Resource, and also before he came here, he had an appointment at a steel research institute in the UK at Swansea. And so we were really glad that he joined the faculty. This is his first semester, so he has been teaching the high temperature recycling class, and has been doing a really great job with that class. You can see some of his interests there, particularly those interested in recycling and strategic metals. But he's a great addition to the faculty. Definitely a student that was very hands-on and involved in the labs when he was here. So he's just going to be a great addition, and someone that's able to work with the students down in the lab. Going next in alphabetical order here, Dr. Grant Crawford is also a School of Mines alum, did his PhD at Arizona State University, and went on to work at Intel Corporation in Arizona before joining the faculty here. He teaches a variety of classes, most specifically mechanical metallurgy, failure analysis, and forensic engineering, which he's actually teaching this semester. That class is always very well received by the students. And you can see some of the research that he is doing. He's also stepped up here recently in the last couple of years to direct one of our big research labs on campus for advanced materials processing. And he's just done an outstanding job with that. In fact, he was just recognized yesterday as this year's presidential outstanding professor for the university. And just is doing a tremendous job. Dr. Cross, William Cross, who's joined the faculty in 2007, but was a research scientist for several years at the university here before that. His areas of expertise are surface chemistry, and you can see some of the classes that he teaches. He's also really involved in K-Tech Radio. I know there's several alumni in our department that have a connection to K-Tech. But he's also serving as the chair of the Faculty Senate this period. And so has been doing a lot of service for the university in the last year. Another very new faculty member is Dr. Katrina Donovan. She goes by Kat Donovan. She is actually a School of Mines alum in chemistry, and went off to get advanced degrees in materials engineering in California and then at Oregon State. She worked for HP, primarily involved with printing technologies and things like that. And she has joined the department as a senior lecturer. She is teaching a lot of the underclass, the early classes like Introduction to Metallurgical Engineering, Properties of Materials, and the lab. She's also developed some new classes that I'll talk about later related to some of her expertise. She's been doing a great job getting students involved, especially with outreach. And she's really been leading the department in that effort and helping students have an impact on the community. The next faculty member is Dr. Bharat Jasti. He actually did his master's and PhD here at the School of Mines. And he did work in advanced alloy processing, specifically friction stir welding, and is an expert in that area. And he has been doing a lot of research recently related to advanced alloy, advanced manufacturing, processing, and he's helped us get a lot of new equipment, new research equipment in the last few years. He's been doing a great job working with the undergraduates. He's another one that really likes to get down in the lab with students and mentor them. And he's also recently taken over the role of coordinating the MES graduate program. And for those of you that may not know what that stands for, so that's the Materials Engineering and Science Master's and PhD degree, which we lead in our department, but it's an interdisciplinary program with physics, chemistry, and several other departments on campus, but primarily led by our faculty. Dr. John Keller is still doing a ton for the department since he stepped down as department head before I took over. And you can see he's still teaching a lot of classes related to mineral processing, which is his expertise. And he's really improved those classes over the last few years to give the students, real world projects to work on related to mineral processing and critical resources. In the last several years, he's really bolstered research in the department, particularly in the area of security printing, nanomaterials, but he's also has funded research in several areas related to mineral processing. And we'll talk a little bit about some of those activities later. Also established recently the only NSF NRT program, which is a national research traineeship program for graduate students. I believe it's the only program on our campus of its kind. And he just continues to do a lot for the program. Also, Dr. Howard is, who many of you, I'm sure, remember, is still heavily involved in the program. In fact, we had to bring him out of retirement last year during COVID to teach one of our classes. He taught transport, which I'm sure many of you took from him. So he's still quite involved and comes in when he can. And lately he's been having some health difficulties and hasn't been in as much as he normally is, but he continues to be involved, and he was actually just honored by TMS for a Lifetime Service Achievement Award. And so that was really exciting. We have one other faculty member that teaches in the department. He is a research faculty, Dr. David Salem. He's from the UK. He did he was at Princeton for a while doing research in nanocomposite materials. and he directs the composites and materials lab here, composites and polymers engineering lab here at the school. He was actually just honored yesterday for the Economic Development Award for the university. He does a lot of work with industry through the CAPE lab. He also has a joint appointment in chemical and biological engineering and the nanoscience, nanoengineering program here on campus. So he teaches classes, elective classes in composites and nanocomposites for our students. And then I also had to highlight probably the most important person in the department, and that's Jessica Zocker, who just continues to do a great job really keeping the department going and organized, and also has just been great in helping us keep in touch with alumni. And she has just been an outstanding asset for the university and our department. So anyway, thank you for letting me spend so much time on faculty. I really know that you probably are more interested in what the students are doing, but I thought I would give you a snapshot of the main teaching faculty and some of the things that they're doing and some of their backgrounds. I wanted to, just give you a sense of what's going on in the curriculum. The department continues to focus, we're one of, I think, 5 metallurgical engineering undergraduate programs remaining in the US that kind of teach traditional metallurgical engineering. We continue to focus in our 3 core areas. So students have to take classes in all 3 of these required areas: mineral processing and extractive metallurgy, primary metal processing, and physical and mechanical metallurgy. So we still pride ourselves on being one of those departments that industry can come to for metallurgical engineers that have a really good basis in a strong metallurgical engineering background. One thing that we have really spent a lot of time improving in the last several years in our curriculum is our design classes. And primarily that was led by Dr. Crawford. But we've really changed our design focus to focus on industrial partnerships. We've worked a lot with alumni, especially in industry, to offer 100% of our senior design, capstone design projects are industry partnered. You can see just a few of those companies here. We've worked with nearly 30 companies in the last 5 years. We've especially tried to focus on partnerships involving South Dakota companies, and you can see some of the recent companies we've worked with in those areas. I could definitely go into more detail on some of these projects, but those of you that are on the call, we would welcome working with you if you have ideas within your company. Usually we have students work on a project that may be on the back burner that you'd like students to look into, some problem that you're having. But this has been tremendously successful for our program. I think we are now some of really the leaders on campus in terms of design and industrial partnerships. This has really helped students also with placement, and because the companies get to work directly with these students and get to know them. And all of our students in design get to know what these companies are doing And it's just been, I think, a great partnership. Also in the curriculum, we continue to offer what we call technical electives. So the students can take electives in areas that they're interested in or that they want to specialize in. You can see some of those there. Many of these are in response to industry needs, in particularly, you can see the latest one on this list is geometallurgy, which we started teaching for the first time in the last couple of years. That was in direct response to industry needs. And that has been a really unique class involving, all three of the mineral industry programs. But you can see some of the other classes there that several of these are new within the last 5 years, and that has been because of the new faculty that we've hired that have expertise in some of these areas. And you can see some of the other classes also that are maybe a little more like traditional materials engineering and science classes that we offer that students can take. Those are especially valuable for students that are interested in going on to get advanced degrees in materials science. And some of the future classes that we're planning in those areas are related to critical metals, which are becoming more and more important, and advanced recycling. One thing I thought I would update you on is just, how we've been delivering classes in this last difficult year with COVID. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I really want to acknowledge the faculty who did a really outstanding job when we had to transition everything online last spring. You can see there's a social media YouTube video there on the right that's out there online that, Dr. Keller had students do mineral processing at home in their kitchen and do some really interesting presentations. I think that the students actually really came away with a lot, although they couldn't meet in person at that time. And Dr. Donovan really led the way in helping us deliver virtual labs during that time because we couldn't meet in person. But then in the fall, we made it a point to offer all of our MET classes that we could in person. I think that was, we were an exception at the university. A lot of programs continued to just stay online. We wanted to really continue to have that in-person interaction as much as we could. So we offered smaller lab sections and things like that so that we could distance, and really, I think, did a great job. And this last semester that we're that should say, I'm sorry, that's a typo there. It should say spring 2021. All of our classes this spring were offered in person, all of our MET classes face-to-face. So that included labs and lectures. The faculty did a great job to make that happen. And the plan for this fall is that we are, right now we will be back to normal on campus. So that's really great. I did want to give you a sense of what we've done in the laboratories. We've really done a lot to improve laboratories over the last several years. And you can see some of those highlights there. A lot of this was done with, departmental funding, but also funding from industry to get new equipment, and also funds from research to help equip some of these labs. But we completed a renovation of the mineral processing lab, the hydrometallurgy lab. We sort of separated those two labs. Some of you may remember that those labs were together in the MI building. So we kind of separated those two labs. That's been great for teaching. You can see a picture of the new hydrometallurgy lab down there to the right. We invested in new hoods and new benches, and that's been really great for our extractive classes, lab classes, but also for research. We also completed a renovation of the corrosion lab, and also did an upgrade and renovation of our high temperature lab. And that was led by Dr. Josty. The department has been also very successful in bringing new equipment into the building, and I'll try to highlight some of that later on. But you can see some of the new equipment that has come recently, advanced major pieces of equipment, and some of these are actually pending right now. Dr. Crawford and Dr. Keller led an effort to get a new dual beam scanning electron microscope for the university, which will be housed in the mineral industries building. So that is that'll be the next major piece of equipment. So that's really exciting. It really has increased our capabilities in analytical methods for looking at different materials. Some of the, I think, more interesting things that we've been, strengthening in the last several years have been what we call co-curricular activities related to, some of the things we teach. So these are technical activities that the students are involved with, that we have integrated into the classroom. Many of these have been based out of the foundry, which we expanded. And the foundry building is down by the football field, so it gets a lot of visibility. We expanded it. We're actually outgrowing that space, so a major effort, I think, in the coming years will be to expand that foundry. But this all really started with an effort that we got funding from the National Science Foundation, what's called a course curriculum laboratory improvement grant, to essentially equip ourselves with forging equipment and start with integrating forging and blacksmithing into our physical metallurgy curriculum. And that just really took off. The students are down there at the foundry now 2 times a week, hosting campus activities where students are down there welding and casting and forging. They also host people from the community. And, some of these student organizations have become some of the largest on campus. And that's really helped us with both retention of students, but also recruiting new students into the program. So a lot I could go into there, and be happy to answer questions later. But that has just been really exciting for our program and helped us revitalize the program. I think the students really appreciate getting down there in the foundry and working on projects. As part of some of that, some of you may know this, but the department actually spearheaded an effort, our department faculty, to establish an international student competition through TMS. And that is now become known as the TMS bladesmithing competition. That actually caught on in 2015 and has been kind of a staple of the TMS conference every 2 years. There is a major competition between students. We didn't have that competition this last year because the TMS competition was TMS conference was virtual. But our students have just done really well to compete internationally. You can see in 2017, we actually we won the grand prize for that out of 40 universities from all over the country. We took away the top prize, but our students have done really well. I was really proud of the 2019 team. You can actually see a picture of me there. I was chair of the bladesmithing committee there, but I got to present an award to our students. And you can actually see that award was a special award because we were the only team that made a blade for this bladesmithing competition. We were the only team that actually made steel for the blade out of all the teams that competed. So we got a special award for that. And, you know, I maybe should have backed up a little bit because I think I probably figure that most of you know about this TMS competition, but what this competition is it's a competition where students create a blade using kind of advanced or historical techniques, but the students really have to talk about the science that goes into this. So many of you have seen the show Forged in Fire. We actually started this effort before Forged in Fire, the TV show, started. But this is like Forged in Fire, but the students have to write a full technical report and a technical presentation and poster in addition to making a blade for competition. So the students are judged both on the craftsmanship and the technical aspects. We've kind of grown these activities, and the department, especially led by Drs. Keller and Donovan, established what we call a STEAM initiative. So that's arts in STEM. And the idea is, you know, a lot of the things that we're doing down at the foundry are related to creative uses of materials, often artistic uses. And so we kind of expanded that idea to include this what we call STEAM effort. So we actually established a new student organization on campus called the STEAM Club, and students get together and learn about artistic uses of materials, but also you know, the science behind different types of materials, especially in their creative and artistic uses. Many of the activities we've done recently are related to working with glass materials and all kinds of other materials, casting, and the faculty put in a what's called an NSF I-use proposal, so improving undergraduate STEM education. And the idea is to integrate glass blowing and glass ceramic materials into the curriculum, similar to the way we integrated forging and blacksmithing into the curriculum. So that is pending right now. We're keeping our fingers crossed, but we still think that that has a lot of potential. So we are actually in the process of establishing a glass blowing lab in the foundry building. We were able to do that by working with some local South Dakota partners. You can see there Tony Gerlach in the lower left picture, She actually has a glass blowing studio in Lee Deadwood, and she's helping us establish this lab. She's donated a lot of the equipment we need, and so we're getting that lab set up hopefully this summer. So that's going to be really exciting. Just wanted to tell you we've worked on some new marketing materials related to these activities. So if any of you want any of these stickers or postcards or things like that, just let us know. But the department invested in a new display case in the MI building to display some of the student artistic work. And so you can see some of the work that's being displayed here, especially some of the bladesmithing entries and things like that in the MI building. And this has become a really well-trafficked stop on the campus tours for students and parents. So this has been exciting and given the department a lot of visibility. In our remaining time, I want to talk about student highlights and maybe some of the research highlights. But you can see here the current demographics of the program. Current undergraduate students, we have 85 students in the program. That is not as high as we have liked and have been recently. COVID has, I think, especially impacted us in the last year. But we are, working on strengthening that and really, we want to be up over 100 students. We currently have 20% women in the program, which is an increase. Normally we've been about 15%. I think a lot of that is due to having a great female faculty member in the program, and so we are hoping that that number continues to increase. Students continue to do very well with internships and placement. Our graduates are really sought after, and it continues to be a majority of employers at our career fair are looking for mineral industries graduates. So we continue that strong tie to industry with a high placement rate. We currently have about 25 graduate students in the program, and several of those are undergraduate students that have gone on to do what we call an accelerated master's program. And that's a relatively new thing for the program, where students can essentially start working on some of their master's classes as they're finishing up their undergraduate degree, so that many of them can get out with a master's degree within 5 or 5.5 years. The students are just going to some really amazing places for internships and for employment. I mean, you can see some of our really great students there working at, in industry, at NASA, national labs, you name it. We just have a great group of students that are continuing to do very well. The students are continuing to compete nationally and do very well in terms of student scholarships. I just put a select few from the last couple of years there, but you can see the students have garnered some very prestigious scholarships from some of our professional societies, and continue to do so. And you can, I just might highlight Madeline Fessenmeyer there. She was also just honored here for last year's internship award given out by the university. So she was the top intern at the university. She just completed her second internship at Boeing Corporation. So the students are doing very well. In terms of outreach, the department really continues to be active. We haven't been as active as we have wanted to in the last year because of COVID, but we will continue to host our summer camps this summer. So we actually have 2 summer camps now. One is our traditional summer camp that we've run for about the last 15 years. It is co-sponsored by ASM International. That's our ASM Materials Camp, Materials, Metals, and Forensics Camp. We usually have about 20 students a year that do that camp. And then we piloted last year a new camp related to some of this bladesmithing that we've been doing for high school students. And that was actually the only camp that was offered last year because we could offer most of it outside. So we actually had about 10 high school students from South Dakota that participated in that camp, and you can see some of them there. And in this last year, we actually, based on the success of that camp, we sponsored a national junior bladesmithing competition for high school students. We continue to, we hope to offer that every year. The hope being to capture those students that are already engaged in metallurgy, maybe casting or forging in their backyard, and get them to consider coming and studying metallurgical engineering. Like I said, we just continue to be active with outreach that engages the community through school visits. Like I said, not as many of those as we wanted in the last year, but you can see some of the recent events that we've done. Students working here over spring break with the Boy Scouts to complete metalworking merit badge. Dr. Donovan led a student group here just a few weeks ago to go to the Homestake Mine Visitor Center, the Sanford Lab Visitor Center there, and did a whole talk on 3D printing for the South Dakota community. In terms of research, I wanted to give you some highlights because the department continues to do very well right now. The department leads research expenditures per faculty on our campus. And we brought in over $10 million of new funding in the last 5 years. And actually that number is substantially increased here related to a new effort related to cold region materials research with the Army Research Lab. We continue to host the only 2 NSF research experience for undergraduate sites. Those sites fund our undergraduates and undergraduates from all over the country to come do research here during the summer. We'll kick those off in about a month. And each of those programs funds about 10 undergraduate students to do research. That's funded by the National Science Foundation. These are some of the major research areas, but faculty are engaged in a number of efforts that are funding both graduate and undergraduate students. You can see some of the areas there in critical metals, sustainable mineral processing, security printing and anti-counterfeiting. This is real exciting research that I mentioned earlier that Dr. Kellers, Cross, and Crawford are involved with, essentially using rare earth metals and nanotechnology to combat counterfeiting and the illicit economy. A whole area related to surface engineering research, alloy processing, and advanced manufacturing. And I put some figures there, but maybe just to highlight a couple recent successes. Dr. Crawford got to go to Washington, D.C. last year to be honored by the Air Force and Aviation Weekly because of a repair that they developed that for the B-1 bomber using some of our advanced manufacturing methods. That repair alone that was developed by students and faculty is estimated to save the Air Force millions of dollars a year. So doing some exciting things there. Would be happy to touch on more of that in the Q&A. One very big update that many of you may have heard about is the state has committed to help fund a new mineral industries building. And so we're in the process of working with architects on how to design that building to support modern teaching and research. The building, the current building, which has been around since 1962, I believe, has been a great building, but it has limitations to support some of the research and things that we're doing, and some of the infrastructure is just not sufficient. So we are really excited by that. That building is drafted to actually be behind the O'Hara building on campus, behind the administrative building. And so we're very excited about that. And we know that many of you have been involved in promoting that effort. And so we're glad that we pushed that over the finish line. I did want to really thank a lot of the alumni that and these are not by any means a complete list here, but many of you really kept in touch with the department in this last difficult year with COVID to help our students get leads for internships and full-time employment. So we really appreciate all that you've done there. Many of you have volunteered to give seminars, and you can see some of those here, but we would welcome any of you to come give seminars in some of our classes or for our student technical societies. That has just been really great for the students and for our professional development. I also want to make sure that you all are getting the bi-monthly department e-newsletter. There's a picture of that on the lower left there, the latest one. If you're not getting that and you're on this presentation, or if you see this presentation, please let us know so that we can get you added to get that. So we can just keep you in touch with the department every couple of months and let you know some of the exciting things going on. And I also wanted to just to put a plug in here for the 2020 alumni reunion, which you can register for now. So please work with the alumni, the CARA folks, and to get registered for that. We were sad that we had to cancel the last 5-year reunion because we know there were a lot of people planning on coming back for that. So please let us know if you need help getting registered, or if you are not getting the newsletter. And with that, my contact information is here. Please reach out anytime if you have any questions, or if there's something that you would like to do to get involved with the department, or just want to check in with us. We would really welcome that. And thank you so much. So Sarah, I know that we've left some time for discussion here, and I didn't leave as much time as I wanted. I'm sorry about that, but I would be happy to even stay a little longer if people are willing to do that. But we have at least 10 minutes for some Q&A here.
Yeah.
So let me minimize this and see if there are any questions here.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box, or you can put them in the chat. Dr. West would be happy to answer those for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as he mentioned, Reunion 2021, that is July 8th, 9th, and 10th now. We added back in the Saturday banquet. I put the registration page in the chat. So if you're interested in coming, please come. It's $10 a person. That does include the banquet. And if you're interested in the Golf Classic, that's $125 a person. So.
Excellent.
And we would love to see you there.
Absolutely. No questions. I hope someone has a question, or just feedback, or please let me know.
Usually, Dr. West, one of the questions we sometimes get, and I believe you answered it, and just in case, is how they can volunteer or get involved in the department as an alumni. And that's just...
Well, absolutely. I think especially right now, that there's the seminar series that I mentioned. We would love to have some of you just either talk about what you're doing as a metallurgical engineer, or lessons learned from your career in metallurgical, or materials, what you've gone on to do. We always have students that need mentoring, just in terms of professional advice and how to approach an interview and things like that. So we would love to have you get involved with that. I also mentioned the design series, our design sequence, and we've had a number of alumni engage us with helping mentor a student design team on a project. That has been just really successful. So absolutely, I think there's a lot of ways that people could get involved.
I had a question, and maybe you mentioned this too. Are the renderings for the new building going to be out on display?
Well, some of the renderings will be out here soon, but right now, the students are the architects and the departments are kind of working together to come up with some kind of phase 1 drawings and plans for the building. I don't know when those will be made public. I do know, though, that we went through a phase 0 study, but that was very much for just a renovated building, which was in the same footprint. And so now we have a little more flexibility on what we can do inside of the building. It'll still be a similar square footage, but it may be much different inside than the current building. And we're really hoping that that new building is going to just showcase a lot of what we're doing and how the departments work together in the mineral industries. So it's very exciting for us.
Well, Dr. West, it looks like you answered all their questions, that they don't have any questions.
Well,
that's a good thing.
I hope so. Well, and I sure appreciate everyone that attended. I recognize a lot of the names here, and some of them I hope that they check in with me, because I think I've reached out to one or two of them and recently. So I would love to hear from all of you. Well, thank you very much for attending, and really please check in with us anytime. And like I said, I'll wait around here for a couple minutes if anyone has any other questions or comments.
Yeah. And Dr. West, there's a comment for you in the chat. It just went to the panelists.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Let me
and while Dr. West is looking, I wanted to promote our next digital lunch and learn, which is Thursday, May 20th. It's a topic you all might be interested in called the M Hill Renovation Project. So please register for that. Dr. Kenner and his team will be presenting more on why M Hill is going to be renovated in the next couple years and what it's going to look like. So make sure you register for that. And then as Dr. West mentioned, he briefly talked about SPAC, the Center for Security Printing and Anti-Counterfeiting Technology. Dr. Keller is going to be presenting on that June 17th. So if you're interested in signing up for that also as a webinar, we'll have that, and I'll drop that information all in the chat too. And then
Excellent.
yes, and then next month we have the math department. They're going to give an update to all our alumni too. So
Well, great. Well, and I see a comment from Dustin about maybe having some of the students provide an overview of some of their research. I think that's a great idea. I would love to do that, and I think our students are working on some really exciting things. And I think the students would like that opportunity.
mhm.
That's a great suggestion. And thank you all once again for attending. And please check in with us if you haven't recently. Make sure that the alumni folks have your current contact info, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all. And then remember, this will be recorded. So if you would like to view it again, or if you would like the slides from Dr. West, I can always send them out. Just feel free to reach out to us. And then I did drop a survey link. Your feedback is appreciated. That kind of gives us ideas, or if there's different ways you would like to get involved, please feel free to fill that out and I'll pass it on to Dr. West. So thank you. Thank you all for attending and have a great Thursday.